Hi, thanks everyone. I'm coming to you from UNC Chapel Hill in North Carolina, and I'm here to tell you about a high school summer science enrichment program that I have been running since 2009. We had a gap year in funding, so we're currently in our 5th year of the program. The program is called the Climate Leadership and Energy Awareness Program. Which button do I? There we go. Yeah, I got it.
The down button.
Good, thanks. So this is a session about effective responses and solutions using effective communication and partnerships. And this program would not be possible without partnerships. The main funding from this program comes from a private foundation in the Research Triangle Park of North Carolina, the Borough's Welcome Fund. They fund these student science enrichment programs, and they have a couple stipulations. They have to be extracurricular programs. They have to be STEM focused. They especially like programs that target females and minorities underrepresented in STEM careers. And they have a few goals that I'll tell you about in a little bit. So we fortunately are in the second round of funding through this program. They do put stipulations on how many dollars can be put towards personnel. And so therefore partnerships are very important at ensuring high quality programming. So I'm with the Institute for the Environment at UNC, but also we have partnered with the Morehead Planetarium and Science Center at the university, and also we have more recently partnered with the Alliance for Climate Education, and they are helping us to kind of cultivate the leadership aspect of our program. And also we run the program out of the UNC Department of Physics and Astronomy, which has been really a neat thing to have happen. So these are the 3 overarching program goals that are set forth by the funder, and then also I'm happy with these goals as well. So they are to increase students' competence in math and science, to increase their enthusiasm for science and math, and to increase their interest in science-related careers, and really, I would say, to help cultivate a science identity for these students, to let them see themselves potentially as scientists. So one kind of sub-goal of the program for me is to show them really diverse scientists that break that stereotype of the old white male scientist. So as much as possible, young scientists, female scientists, minority scientists, scientists wearing flip-flops, scientists that fly in airplanes to their field sites, getting away from that kind of that stereotype that many youth hold in their head. These are students here in the program learning about thin film solar technology at UNC. A lot of solar energy research takes place at UNC, so definitely connecting them to the cutting edge science, which gets to something Dan Zales was saying earlier, of just tapping into those local resources. We are in the center of North Carolina. We're fortunate to be not only at UNC, but close to Duke and North Carolina State, among other universities. Research Triangle Park, which houses EPA, NIEHS, and RTI, so some really big research organizations. And then we have over 500 clean tech industries in the state, many of which are focused around the Research Triangle. So this gives us access to many different types of scientists, engineers, field trip opportunities, speakers, etc. The program components, we have a 1-week non-residential summer institute, so they come to campus for 1 week. And then we have 7 academic year follow-up activities. This is Saturday academies and also teacher workday excursions. So typically all of these are going to be field trips of some sort. And then we also ask each student to lead a community outreach project. And the idea here is to give the student an experience with science communication. So having them communicate something they learned in Climate Leap with another audience, be it a school, a church, a scout troop, a neighborhood association, and we allow them to do both oral communication and written communication. And we have about a 2/3 success rate with students completing the community outreach project. We can't require it, but we strongly encourage it. And so this is a quote I read a few years ago that really kind of connects with my approach as the program director. I'm fortunately the one that gets to create and design the program each summer and each academic year. And when I decided I wanted to do a climate change program, as we've talked about and as Susan mentioned, we have to have this kind of note of hope in our work. So I like this quote here: "We need a way of exploring environmental issues that is realistic and honest, yet hopeful and inspirational." And so this quote really guides my program. So how do we, provide this note of hope, but also empower students to really become climate leaders? That's really what I'm hoping for, is that they start, conserving energy and recycling and educating others and being positive role models when it comes to sustainability. So what I do with Climate Leap, that I think all of these are effective strategies to empower these students, we use an energy story to frame the climate change story. So really, climate change is a symptom of a larger problem, and that's overconsumption of fossil fuels. So we start the program talking about energy. We provide relevant and authentic STEM learning experiences. We feature scientists and engineers, so we show them the people working on the science and the solutions to climate change. And as I mentioned earlier, providing them and supporting them in communicating science and in cultivating their leadership skills. I'm a teacher by nature. I've always been a teacher. In my professional career, I like to put things in context. I like to tell stories. I'm a linear thinker. I'm also a systems thinker. This is the story that we tell in Climate Leap. We start with energy, and we talk about how our current use of fossil fuels is contributing to increased CO2 emissions and other greenhouse gases. Then we lead into the but. This is contributing to climate change. We learn about climate science, the greenhouse effect. We get to the fundamentals of the greenhouse effect so they can understand why climate change is happening. And then we get into the therefore, and this is the hopeful part. This is where we talk about, how as a society can we decrease our CO2 emissions. And there are a lot of opportunities here. We talk about civic engagement, conservation, efficiency, nuclear energy, renewable energy, and we connect them with the solutions that are happening at the university, but also within the state as a whole. This is just a quick kind of at a glance of the program content, the 5-day Summer Institute. They learn about energy, climate science, climate impacts. That makes it relevant. We talk about human health, for instance. We talk about impacts to forest and agriculture, which is big in our state. We talk about sea level rise, which is also big for the state of North Carolina. And then we get into and spend maybe 60% of the week is focused on energy and energy solutions. And then during our academic year activities, a variety of topics, again, mostly field trips and interacting with people on the ground, learning about green buildings, civic engagement, climate justice, so showing how climate change is a human rights issue, human health, and kind of woven through all of this is leadership and communication activities. So I'll just show a few pictures here. We do try to do hands-on, STEM-focused activities as much as possible and as little lecture as possible. They do not like lecture, even if it's an engaging scientist. These are students making biodiesel at Piedmont Biofuels. So they actually crushed the seed and made the biodiesel themselves during a Saturday academy. They interact with numerous scientists through presentations, lab activities, demonstrations, lab tours, and also field trips. And these are pictures of scientists directly interacting with the students. And then another neat aspect of the program is program alumni. Those who've successfully completed the program can come back and serve as peer mentors. So we have a competitive application process where they come back and they help to educate the students during a subsequent year. So these are pictures of those peer mentors, and we try to give them as much leadership as we can. So the first 4 years of the program, we served 168 students total. 89% of those students successfully completed the program, and that they attended the academic year activities like we asked, and they completed a community, that's right. And then about 2/3 of those completed an outreach project. So I'm biased, of course. I think the program is successful, but I do want to see 100% students completing the program. I want to see 100% of the students conducting community outreach projects, and we're trying to put things in place to make that happen during this next funding cycle. And approximately 1/4 of the students apply to serve as peer mentors, which to me speaks for the enthusiasm for the program content. So we're pleased by that number as well. I know many of you here are probably interested in program evaluation. That's an interest of mine as well. So we have an external evaluator, and then also I conduct evaluation as well. So we have student pre- and post surveys. We also do pre- and post learning assessments, and we have an end of program parent survey as well, where we kind of assess the value of the program as perceived by the parent. So we do pre-surveys in June prior to the Summer Institute, which is usually late August or July, end of July or early August, sorry. We do a post-evaluation at the end of the Summer Institute, and then we'll do another post-survey at the end of the program, and we're collecting some of the questions we ask throughout the program, so we're getting some nice longitudinal data, and we're trying to assess those program goals. You know, is their knowledge increasing? Are they changing their behavior because of the program? Is their enthusiasm changing? Is their interest changing? And some things that I've gotten really interested in are informal learning assessments, because these are students who are doing this outside of the classroom. They do not want to feel like they're being tested. So trying to find creative ways that where I can get information about what they're learning in a creative way. So one thing that I've done in the past that's kind of time consuming to evaluate, but it's fun nonetheless to try, is to have them construct concept maps. And so concept maps, I teach them what concept maps are. We do a short little training. It's a great study skill for them to take with them into their formal schooling. But like, here's a concept map where they use vocabulary terms and connect them. You know, what's the connection between energy consumption and global warming? And I picked this sample here. This is from the same student. And what I tend to see, or like to see, is a more sophisticated post-concept map with more linkages, additional vocabulary terms. Again, it's very time-consuming to evaluate these, and I'm happy to, for those of you who do this, I'm happy to share my approach, but I typically keep it simple by looking at number of vocabulary terms, you know, number of cross-connections, etc. Two other things I've done are more drawings. So these are, this is an activity I found on the Clean Collection Power Source activity. I really like it. I use it with teachers and students. But basically, I give them a drawing of this electrical outlet, and I have them draw everything behind the scenes. Some students cannot do this, and I'm sure you're not surprised by that. They don't know what happens behind that electrical outlet and where their electricity comes from. So here, this is an example from the same student. The pre-drawing at the top, they kind of get to some wires. They get that there's some wires involved here. But then at the end of our Summer Institute, where we focus a lot on electricity generation and energy sources used to generate electricity, they're able to expand on where, you know, what's going on behind the scenes. We also do the same thing with the greenhouse effect, and I know that Sarah Harris and Ann Gold are also doing this with undergraduate students. I enjoy this too, and it not only does it help you assess learning, but it helps you identify misconceptions. And again, many students come in with this misconception of the ozone hole, for instance, and we can clear that up during the program, and we can usually show that with our data that we're clearing up that misconception. These are students exploring the greenhouse effect with infrared thermometers outside and carbon dioxide sensors, kind of giving them hands-on experience. And more recently, I've gotten interested in documenting the behavior change that comes as a result of programming. So this past summer, our new cohort, 68% of the participants reported that they plan to increase their efforts to conserve energy in their daily life as a result of the program. We'll follow up with them, of course, and see if they actually do that. Some students have told me that they already have and that their family is saving money on their power bills, which is great news. But this is something I'm doing more of in the second renewal, is looking at how the program is impacting behavior change, in hopes that when this funding ends, I can find more funding to sustain the program. That's one problem with this being at the university level. Budgets are tight, especially in North Carolina, and wanting to figure out how to sustain this. Right now, the program is free for students, and we actually provide them a stipend for participating. It is a competitive application process. But that money is intended to offset travel, missed work time, but it also makes them show up each and every day during the summer, which is important. So here is my contact information. We also have a website, and I know I'm out of time for questions, but I'll stick around till the end of the session. So thank you.